This week's stack is all about contrast. We got big pop moments, dark concept records, cosmic funk, a Dead's bootleg, and some late 60s psychedelia that will bend your mind. Let's dig in. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on this Friday, where every Friday we flip through 5 records. Now, sometimes they're classics, sometimes they're obscurities, but hey, we see what's worth the spin. And today's pile stretches from Paul Simon's reflective mid 70s masterpiece to the experimental edges of the West Coast scene. And we are going to start out today with the crown jewel, Mr. Paul Simon, and still crazy after all these years. I can relate, Paul. I can really relate. This is the Mobile Fidelity one-step pressing. It's on two 45 RPM records that is pressed on that very famous SuperVinyl. This is a numbered box set, and it comes in that beautiful traditional MoFi box set that some people hate because it takes up a lot of room. I like the little box set. I think the new design's cool too because it saves room. I don't know. I'm not upset with this one. At least it isn't the clamshell thing that Analog Productions does. At least this is like a legit lift the top box. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, beautiful packaging. This down here, of course, stunning. You have the iconic tracks, man. You got 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover and My Little Town. Both have incredible depth. And you hear every brushstroke on Steve Gadd's drums. You hear every nuance in Simon's vocals. This is one of those albums that's already a classic, but when you play it here, it feels like you're in the control room in 1975. Really, really, really love that pressing. Now, from here, we move on to much darker tones here. We're going to move on to something much darker, and that is Sting. This is the Soul Cages. This was released in 1991. And this is Sting working through grief after his father's death. And this whole record just carries this maritime theme. You got ships, sailors, loss, and renewal. You have songs on here like All This Time and the title track that really show Sting at his most introspective, blending Celtic influences with a polished early 90s sound. This is the original US pressing on A&M, and I gotta say it holds up beautifully. I'm so grateful to have that in my collection. Now, next up, I got a curveball for you, and this is M2May, Kiss This World Goodbye. Yes, this is before Juicy Fruit. Now, I'm not talking about the gum. I'm talking about the popular song that has been used, sampled through lots of different music. This is before that Juicy Fruit made them an R&B household name. This is M2May dropped this album in 1978. It's their debut album, and it's a cosmic blend of funk, jazz, and soul. Think of this more like Parliament with kind of like a sharper edge. And you have some great cuts on here, guys. You have cuts like Funky Constellation, just kind of explode with groove, while This Is Your World has this spacey vibe, just perfect for a late night spin. Now, this is the epic pressing from 1978, and it sounds great. And to me, it's a killer way to experience their raw beginnings. Now, speaking of raw, how about some Grateful Dead, Moe's Place? Now, this is an unofficial live release from 1978, pulled out by the Impossible Recordworks, and it captures the Dead in that kind of transitional late 70s period. It's tight, but still kind of very unpredictable. And these boots weren't always the cleanest sonically. In fact, this sounds like it was recorded from a radio station, to be honest with you. But I think the energy more than makes up for it. And I think for Deadheads, this is a sort of a thrill of hearing a moment in time that the band never officially sanctioned. But maybe one day they will. I would love to see this record get the proper treatment and get an official release. Okay, finally, we have a mind bender and a little bit of a mouthful to say here. This is the West Coast pop art experimental band, and the album is Volume 3, A Child's Guide to Good and Evil. Which, yes, for a Friday, I'm glad I got through that one. And this was released in 1968 on Reprise. And this is at the peak of psychedelic weirdness, guys. You got tracks on here like 18 is Over the Hill, and it's mixed with this sunshine pop with darker, almost sinister undercurrents. It's trippy, it's satirical, and it's surprisingly heavy for the time. Now, this is an original Terahoot pressing, and I think this is one that serious psych collectors will love to score. So there you have it, guys. That was 5 records, 5 completely different worlds, from Paul Simon's polished introspection to Sting's grief-stricken storytelling. We also talked about Mtume's space funk, a rare dead bootleg, and the experimental swirl of WCPAEB. Yeah, you could say a lot of things, but you can't say vinyl doesn't keep things interesting. So which one would you spin? Would you drop the needle on an old psych record, or would you be a deadhead and spin that Moe's place? I'm kind of curious. I love hearing your thoughts on what you picked up recently. Go ahead and drop them in the comments. And if you enjoy these Friday finds, hit like, subscribe, because I'll be back next week with another stack on the table.